I'm back. What have we got today? Oh my god, it's a blast from the past. Well, what's Tony doing with an old amp? You know, an old, obsolete, well, some people could say a piece of rubbish, but I don't think it is. Certainly well enough made. So what's it all about? Well, first of all, I wanted to just harp on a little bit, as I do, about why these are a little bit different and why it's being reviewed here. I had one of these a number of years ago, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, when they were more in vogue, and in fact THD was in business. They went out of it about 2011, 2012, something like that. I forget exactly, but anyway, I had one before that, and it was one of these. This is a THD Univalve. Gives you 15 watts, so it was sort of at the earlier stages of, you know, the smaller amp type of thing coming out, and offered a lot, although it was expensive. The Univalve had a list price in America of $1,678 plus tax. Well, that's probably about $1,800. That's a lot of money in its day, don't forget that. And here it is, you can buy it for $500 or $600 if you fish around and look for a nice one, like I said. Yeah, $1,800, that would have been about £1,400 at the time, something like that. Now the thing about the Univalve is, it's what it says in the name. It's only got one valve. Well, it's got one power tube and a couple of, you know, preamp tubes, we'll call them that. And we're going to go and have a look at inside and out on this one. I think that's definitely worth looking at. It's maximum 15 watts output, but it's got this attenuator that THD were also known for. Well, maybe they're known for less these days if they're even still in business. Who knows? I don't really care. The reviews about this amp, and they'd stopped making that when they went out of it. So 15 watts with an attenuator means that you can get really low, and in volume that is, and that's good. That's very good. You can drive that amp. But there are also questions to do with tube amps, like the design. Some are designed to operate in a thing called Class A, and other tube amps Class AB, and so on and so forth. Now, the majority of tube amps, I would say, are generally Class AB for guitar. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, and I know you'll tell me, but please don't. I don't want to know. Well, this one actually is a Class A. So that's all a bit confusing, isn't it, Tony? Well, you need to know a little bit about Class A amps, and that's one of the reasons for reviewing this, because this amp and what it stands for and what it is actually makes it a very desirable amp, although you might not think so. Well, you wouldn't, but you will by the end of the video. Now then, to get rid of a bit of this confusion over what the hell's Tony talking about, Class A or Class AB and things like that, I made some notes. Yeah, I went on the internet, and you can go and do this yourselves. Go and search anywhere for Class A tube amps or Class AB, and you'll get piles of information. But I gleaned a little bit of simple, ordinary, everyday info that's useful for ordinary guys like me and you. Not these engineers, not them other people, not the experts, but the ordinary guys, just like me and you. And I summed it up a bit like this. A true Class A amplifier is often summed up or determined by having one output tube. Yeah, one output tube. That shows that clearly an amp that's got two output tubes is going to be operating in a different way. In fact, the one that's got two tubes usually is classed as an AB class amplifier. Think of it like this. If you've got one tube, what goes in has to go full circle and come out, and we'll call that a 360-degree type of class, well, for want of a better phrase. But that other type, the AB, Well, how that works, that's got 2 tubes or more. And these tubes, instead of working as a single tube that has 360 degrees, well, they use a thing called push-pull. So each tube handles 180 of those 360 degrees, and in push-pull, they end up coming out at 360, if you get me. Well, I made some more notes, and this is what I wrote. A Class A amp will add harmonic distortion at all integer harmonics in overdrive, and only even harmonics in sub-overdrive. Class A and AB amplifiers theoretically only generate odd harmonics with perfect device matching. Class A amps, compared to AB configurations, by the way, produce less power. So checking the output power of an amp is, for a given AB class, it can show whether the amp you're looking at is Class A or not. For example, if you were to take 2 EL84s in push-pull, you probably get 15 watts output. But if you take 2 EL34s in AB push-pull, well, then you'll achieve, or could achieve, 40 watts, and you'll find that Class A amps typically have less output than what I just said with the AB amps. That's a good way to check. But honestly, none of that matters, because it's all gibberish, isn't it? It is to me and it is to you. Except that if you get a Class A amp, they distort in a different way. But they do sound different. And some people will say they don't, some people say they do. I don't care about that. When you plug it in and you have a go, yeah, it's great. There's a lot of other things that you can do with this amp that you don't generally do with most amps. You can with some, but not most. And that is, among other things, being able to change loads and loads of different tubes into the amp without any biasing or any adjustments. You just take one out and plug one in and listen to the different tone. And they really do sound different. That's a good idea. Now bear in mind, these amps are not made anymore. You can only buy them second hand. But there's a few out there and they're definitely worth buying. Now they made a number of different models, but the one I'm talking about, and the one you should be really looking at, in my opinion, is this one. This is the one I bought. If you used to buy any of the other ones, such as the bivalve or the Flexi 50 they called it, there's a few different models. Well, that's good if you've got plenty of money, but this one I bought for about £400, which is about $500 today. So that's not a bad price for an amp that was basically handmade in Seattle or somewhere like that. And yeah, it's all good. There's a lot of good things about this amp, actually. And, you know, the company went through hell at the end. Sometimes they do that, but yeah, really useful. I've had 2, like I said, never had any real issues with them. This one has a tiny little bit of an issue on the attenuator where it, if you turn it while it's in play, but so just set it where you want it and forget it. That's it. So let's go and have a look a bit closer. I want to show you around this amp. This is really, really worth looking at. Yeah, it makes a change to show you something that's not expensive, not brand new, not any of those things, but it sounds great and is great. Hold on. Okay, so I guess what we're going to do is have a look around the top first, underneath this this cage, and see what tubes we can put in there and things like that. Then we'll come to the front and, well, we'll go inside first, then we'll come to the front and back, and then go back up top afterwards. All sounds like a plan. Okay, well, you can simply lift the lid off this just by undoing 4 screws to each side, and the top will just slide off. All very simple. Yeah, not much to see, is there? Well, we've got a couple of things. We've got a power transformer, we've got an output transformer, obviously simple. We've got a driver tube and what they call an input tube. We can whiz them off, take a quick look. I don't know what tubes are in this. This is how it came to me second hand from a guy on eBay. This one seems to be Raytheon registered. It's an old tube, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. 12AX7A ECC80/ECT83 and L10. God knows. That's probably the month and year. So we can change those tubes, and here you can see what we can change them to. It all looks good to me. I don't know. We can go on the lower end, the lower gain. Down here at the bottom, we've got 12AU7, 5814, ECC82s. Then we've got mid gain, 12AT7, 6201, and so on. And then you come to the high gain tubes, 12AX7, 7025, ECC83, da 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 da. So you want to change these and these two tubes here and faff around a bit. Well, that's no problem, and you can't do any damage at all to the amp. The other great thing is there's nothing to adjust. You just change the tubes and away you go. Now you can see there the power tubes that can be used with this amp. We've got 6550s, 6L6, 60A7, 5881, EL34, KT90, KT88, KT77, KT66, 6V6. We have a voltage adjustment down on the front of the amp, so we can use 6V6s. And we can use another thing that I'm going to show you a little bit later. I won't bother covering it now because it's not actually in the list, but yeah, it's all good. So that's the sort of mix of tubes. There's another quick shot of the outside of the amp. Very well made as well, by the way. It's all steel, and I think you've got an aluminium plate on the front that's been actually carved out or, you know, finished somehow. But it's all good. There's nothing to wear off. It's all pretty good stuff. Now there's not much to see on this this amp underneath, of course. All we do is take the 6 screws off and away you go. We can get a real good look at what's going on inside. But just one thing. I had this apart before, and yeah, I forgot which way round this base fits. Now you notice you've got some vent holes here. Well, believe it or not, you can't go anywhere on the internet and find out whether these are at the bottom or at the top, you know, because you can fit this plate either way around. Nobody anywhere has an image anywhere in the world of that. So I guessed it that way. If it's correct, tell me, and if it's not, well, tell me, and I'll flip it round. For now, that's where it stays. That's the back of the amp, by the way. Well, what can I say? This one was made by somebody named Ed, by the way. I've seen him on the internet. It says 11/502, so it's a 2002 amp, and we'll talk about serial numbers and things a bit later on. So it's been around. It's been about well, 14 years old, but this one has been very well looked after, in fact. Indeed, as most of them have. You see these out there, and they're all looked after in a way very much like this amp has been, and that's what you really want. You want something that's real quality made, that's been around a while, maybe, but offers something that most other amps don't. And this one certainly does offer things that many other amps don't even come close to, in my opinion, that is. Now, I always like to talk a little bit about input power. Because if you buy one of these in America, it's set for, say, 120 volts or 110, I forget which one it is, don't worry, you'll know. And if it's in England, it's usually set for 230 or 240 in Europe, you know, that sort of thing. But when I bought mine back in about 2010, something like that it was, well, it was set for 110 or 120 volts, and I wondered if I could, you know, fix the thing up somehow so that I could get it across to 240 volts or 230 volts, so I wouldn't be messing around with converters. And the great news is that you can take this just absolutely as is and convert it to being the other voltage. So if you currently buy it and it's, say, 120 and you want it to be 230 or 240, this is where you do it, and it's a simple matter to do that. I'm not going to cover it now because I don't even remember what I did, but you literally just change a couple of wires. Well, I don't have any circuit diagrams and things kicking around, but looks to me like that all relates to power. Yeah, it is. It'll be the power supply, smoothing, or whatever you want to call it. You can see all the capacitors in there and the rest of it, and she's put some notes up here. That sort of rambles on about the board being used for a univalve and a bivalve. It says power board on it, so no, I guess I was right. I don't see anything to complain about on that. Indeed, very well made. I don't want to get too close and no, this isn't a pencil and things like that. But yeah, it'll have power in there because it's been used earlier. Yeah, very nice. You see, you gain a lot of quality for not a lot of price, and that's always a good thing. And it's a good thing that I'm reviewing this because it's worth reviewing. That's the point, for a very low cost. Now what we're looking at up here, this is the actual attenuator that you can switch in and out, by the way. You don't have to have this, this thing in all the time. So it's switchable in and out, and when it's switched out, actually this amp can be pretty loud. It's rated at 15 watts, but you can just trust me, it's a bit louder than that. And if you put it on a 4x12, you'll be gigging with it. But if you want it to be lower, there's the secret of how they do it. Now, if this fails, I guess it could be a bit difficult to find another, especially with Andy and his mates not being there in the way they were. But I guess he bought that in, so, you know, sooner or later you're going to find one. Now, taking a look at this section, which is the preamp section of the Univalve, you can see that it's all pretty nice stuff, actually. This is very reminiscent, honestly, so reminiscent of Mesa Boogie on how they do their wiring, all very nice and neat. Real high quality, you just know that. And we'll get to look at the other bits up there a little bit later. But yeah, the board's got very, very wide tracks as well, things like that. Lots of grounding on the board. You know, it's all, you can tell it's also very, very thick board, unlike some of the little thin stuff that you do see around. This has been made to last. Make no mistake of that. It's been made to last for a very long time, and indeed this one is, and probably will do for the next 30 or 40 years or longer. Who knows? Point is, they're all high quality components. It's all very nice. Oh, look, a little note. It says here, I can travel halfway around the world. Well, the truth is putting on its shoes. Mark Twain. Well, don't know Mark myself. Yeah, but that's another story. They had enough fun putting things like that on the PCB. And here are the two preamp tubes. You can see them here in sockets. I like to see that as well. Stuck on the chassis, nice and solid, but separate from the PCB note. And we'll see that is the same later. So all very nice, very well engineered. That's what I like to see. Nothing out of place, you know. It's all good stuff. This is just a quick shot of the output transformer area, actually. And we've got another little PCB stuck down at the side here that says, what does it say? Line out board. That's what it's called. So it is for the line out. There is a line out on this amp, on this Univalve. There's the output transformer, and as you can see, there's Ed's signature, the man that put this one together. So that was the November. That's the 5th of November. I hope it doesn't catch fire. 5th of November 02. Made by Ed. Fancy it being November the 5th? It's a Guy Fawkes model. There's the little section where the main power tube is. Remember, there's only one power tube, so it's a 360-degree type of operation. In the tube, everything happens in the one. Sounds good. They've got a few resistors and things in here. I don't know what they do, don't really care. But it sounds good, and that's what matters. Nothing to go wrong really, maybe the odd capacitor and things like that. you could change out over time. But overall, well, it's pretty nice. And I did just want to show you that it uses regular pots and things like that, and all the wiring's so nice and neat, isn't it? Far different than the result of some of the tube amps I've looked inside. And indeed, even along here too, you've got all really decent connectors. It's all been fitted nice, it's all good, it's all rock and roll, I guess. Yeah, what more can you say? Okay, so let's have a look what we've got across the front of the amp. This all sounds pretty obvious. It's a pretty simple looking amp. Well, we've got a low gain and a high gain, which is nice because if you want those sort of bluesy tones, you can drop it in the low gain, change some of those tubes up there, in particular those preamp things, and get a really cooking sound for blues. But if you want the heavier stuff or the singing lead, which you can get out of these Class A amplifiers, it's one of the reasons for reviewing this one. And we're going to slap them in there, get the right tubes cooking, and away you go. We'll come back to that. But if you look at the front as well, like I said earlier, it's sort of been engraved. None of this can sort of wear off, so he's not going to get anything ever back. Well, he wouldn't have when he was there, from wear and tear. These are all engraved in the front. The knobs are sort of generic knobs. There's no push pulls or anything like that. Oh, and by the way, these were the sort of settings that I used when I used the amp just a few hours ago. But we'll come back to that also. So the first one we've got, obvious really, volume, treble, bass, no middle, notice. Then you've got this other one that says attitude. Well, you've got to go and figure out what that means. But it sort of changes the feel of the amp. That's how I describe that one. Moving along a little bit, we've got this sort of an old-fashioned idea that you could use a light bulb to reduce the hum. And it absolutely does work when it's switched into circuit. So don't assume just because this glows nice, it's doing nothing. It glows when you play and it doesn't glow when you don't. Very simple. Further along the amp, we've got the hot plate. Now, some of you will know what a THD hot plate is. It's like an attenuator just to reduce the volume on a power amplifier, you know, a tube power amp usually. And you can get the wattage down, or you can get the output reduced, let's rephrase that, to something that's livable in your house even. Well, this amp's got one built in, and it's switchable in or out. Now, as you can see at the moment, the amp's, well, maybe you can't see well, but the amp's actually switched up to full power. When you flip it down to this bottom setting, you get this little thing that comes across and says attenuator, and that's where you'd adjust this knob here, you know, for reduced output. But it's reduced output, but the tubes are still going full at it, so you get those really nice extended distortions that you can only get really from a highly driven output power tube. Nice. And in Class A, you get it all. Now we have a next thing we got. Another thing here is this high voltage or low voltage. Now the high voltage is for all the regular sort of tubes and things like that. But if you was going to use 6V6 up the top there in the power tube, you'd flip this down to low power, low V. And it adjusts the voltage so that the 6V6 can sit in the output tube without blowing the socket, that is, without blowing the tube. Very well thought out, really. We've got a standby and play, on and on and on off. All the rest you should know about, all pretty simple. Let's have a look around the back. Now, what I always liked about this amp when I first saw it all them years ago was the fact that somebody had actually put the name to it, stick it on the back like that, sign it, stick it on the back, and serial number it, and so on and so forth, and they told you where it was made and things like that. So they were always prepared to put their name to their product, which some people aren't. Some people just get them made in China and things like that. But we'll come back to that a bit later. So running from this side anyway, you've got CE approval, which I always look for. That's proper, it's all good. We've got a mains fuse, slow blow. We've got the power in, which I said we can change to 240 or 230, I think we go to. Let's have a look. 230 volts, yeah. Or 120 or 110, I think it was, I forget. So standard input. HV fuse, filament fuse, so it's well protected. And if you look at the things down here, you've got your serial number, which is 1130. Now listen, I don't think they made tens of thousands of this amp. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that they made about 4,000 or less. So they were not ever really mass volume. If you think of 4,000 being a lot, well, no, you're wrong, because that's the entire production over all the years they made them. So they were not massive with fast production. It says here, Englishmen think 100 miles is a long distance. It is. Americans think 100 years is a long time. Well, it is. Yeah, there's not much you can say about that, really. Except that 100 miles in England will cost you £3,000 to get there in your car, and 100 miles in America will cost you $10. That's what I think the difference is. He clearly had a sense of humour, did Andy Marshall. Yeah, designed by Andy Marshall, hand built in the USA by THD Electronics, Seattle, Washington. Yeah, great. It's exactly what you want. Handmade, hand assembled, really well put together, and they sound absolutely great. Just trust me, else I wouldn't be reviewing it. There's not really 10,000 more things to look at. It is a simple amp, but it's not as simple quite as you might think. Okay, we've got a line out, which is you could push to either instrument level or line level, depends where you want to send that to. And you've got a line out level adjuster. I haven't used it, I probably never will. There you go. You've got your speaker out at the end, but very interestingly on this amp you've got 2 ohms, 4 ohms, 8 ohms or 16 ohms. Now that's a massive range of speaker loads that you could use, and that means there's a massive range of cabs too, which I just think's really good. I've seen very few with 2 ohms on. Now then, all interesting. Here I am, back at the top. Yeah, what an awesome little amp. Yeah, very undervalued today, I might add. So you go and find one of these cheap. Yeah, you're going to probably drop on a really good bargain. And they record well as well, which I also like. Work well with Strats and work well with, Les Pauls and the like. Yeah, all very good. And there's more. It's not the end of it when we've gone through all those tubes that we said we were going to go through. There's these other things that THD sold off to another company towards the end, so to speak. I don't know who the other company was, but they probably still make these. I see these out all there. They're a thing called a yellow jacket. And what the idea is, see, one came with this amp for free. Now that's a great value, because I could actually use this in any amp. And it came with a pretty crappy tube, but don't worry about it. Some people like them. It's a JJ EL84. Now you couldn't take an EL84 and put it into that socket because it doesn't fit. So what THD originally came up with is they made a bass that was the octal type of bass that had fit in there. And they had another socket on the top here that could take EL84s. So you can now take this and plug it in there as an EL84. That will definitely, undoubtedly, change the tone of this amplifier from what it is with these other tubes. They do just sound different. That's all there is to it. So, great little idea. Unfortunately, I've seen these advertised at still at £90 or £80 for one of these. That's $100 odd. I don't know. Maybe cheaper in the States. I don't know. But worth its weight in gold because, as I said, you can use it in other amps as well as this amp. Obviously, if you've got 2 tubes in your other amp, you need 2 of these. And there's more. Yeah, I've got all these tubes. Now, these didn't come with it. These are just some of the tubes that I have lying in the back, so to speak. This one's a tongue saw, 6550. So you take that 6550 and whack it straight in there. Yeah, it says so. Yeah, just straight in. End of story. That'll change the tone and how the amplifier, you know, feels, I guess, among other things. We've got this big fat one. No, I won't say anything. Let's get this open. This is also a KT66, like the one that's fitted, except the one that's fitted isn't like this one. This one's a bit better. Just want to show you this one, really. We're into tubes and things. Tubes and things, sorry. Yeah, this one's a Russian. It says here, KT66 Retro. And I've actually got a matched pair of these. I was going to do something else with them. But there it is, KT66 97. You can tell it's the old-fashioned type. Look, it's all sort of, yeah. But the matched pair, not that it matters in this, I can just flip that out and put a KT77 in and rock and roll with that. And that'll take your tone down a bit. That'll allow you to get a bit of detuning going on, that sort of stuff. Really nice, you know. It's not a actually, it's a KT77 box, but I used that for something else. What I've got in here is an EL34 Svetlana Electron Devices Incorporated. It says made in Russia in 1996, week 13. Yeah, that can go straight in. So you can imagine that everything we do changes the sound of the amp. And these tubes are no exception, none at all. It's all good. Yeah. What we got in this one? I don't even remember. Doesn't want to come out. Ah, a tongue saw 12AX7, made in Russia, 2014. Yeah. So we can flip that one in. I had it out of something, I don't know. What's the last one here? I just poured a selection in. I've got so many tubes out there. Oh my god, it's a JJ ECC83S. It's been pulled out of something that I fitted a tube amp doctor to. Yeah, but it's okay for this. Yeah, we can give that a throw or a whirl. I tend to get a lot of tubes. Well, not a lot of tubes, but some specialised tubes from this guy here, Carltone.co.uk. Carltone.co.uk. Yeah, he's a friendly guy. Sales at Carltone.co.uk. Friendly guy. Met him at a recent show. So hopefully you're beginning to get a little bit of an idea just how flexible this amplifier can be, even though it's just got one tube and a couple of preamps. Well, an input and a driver, it says. We'll call them preamp tubes, I don't know. I don't really care. Yeah, preamp tubes to me, so that's my story. Yeah, what really matters though is how it sounds, right? Yeah, and how it's made. And if you've seen it just, if you didn't skip it, you know, you need to have a look. This is as well made as you can get. Don't go and spend your 1,500 quid on something that's similar. It's the same. Buy one of these if you can find one. If you can find one, because they are, you know, they are out there, but guys seem to hang on to them. Well, what did I do when I went out there with it? Well, I'll let you into the secret. It is a secret. Hold on. Yeah, it's a secret. It's a secret freak. Now, some people have seen me using this pedal before, or not. What's great about this drive pedal? What do they call it? I don't even know what they call it. A secret freak. It's a distortion pedal, actually. It says so there. So we've got a volume and a distortion, which is normal. You can have that in anything, can't you? There's millions of pedals out there. But what's different about this one that I liked is you can change the frequency of the overall tone. And you can include more highs or less highs and things like that. And you can see those two settings, hopefully, from where you are. One's at sort of 9, 9:30, 9:45 in the morning, and one's at sort of 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The frequency's vertical, yo, and the highs are just about 11 o'clock. And I used that in front of this amp in this high gain with these tubes that were fitted actually, and yeah, it sounded awesome. Without that, well, yeah, it sounded awesome. But this just gave me a bit more drive, and I like to have plenty of drive, you know, especially if you're doing some of that rock stuff. But it gets into metal areas, and you know, you don't even need one of them. You could get a TS8 808 or something like that that'll take you into these sort of almost metal areas. An amp as small as this. And don't underestimate that 15 watts, like I said, because you put this on a 4x12, it'll move you across the room. Crank it up, yeah, leave that attenuator off, and you're rocking in a band. Well, oh, you live at home, no problem. Flip the attenuator in, back it all the way down, you're in heaven. It's awesome, and the driver will just help you to get that extra bit of stuff, you know. Really worth the effort. As we move down the video, sort of that way, we are going to be playing this with probably a few different valves in there. How well you'll tell the differences over the internet, it's another story, or on video, you know. It doesn't always come out as focused as what it could do. But in reality, actually, you can hear the difference quite well. And when you're buying one of these, always have a good look around to see what you can see regarding how much it's been knocked about. This one, as you can see, it's pretty much as new. And this is an earlier one in the manufacturing, way back to 2002. So that's, you can see it's pristine condition. They are out there. The one I had in 2010 or 11, that was also pristine condition. And I paid more for it then than I did now. So they've crept down to this level now where they're sort of £400, like I said, or $500 give or take. And they are absolutely worth every penny. You get a load of tones out of this from, you know, cleanish, very clean if you put the right tubes in, through Texas blues, more heavier blues, regular rock, even to metal. This amp will do it. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but it will. It's great and recommended. Yeah, that's why I made the video. Well, is there anything I don't like about it? Well, it's got no loop. So if you want a loop, it's not really the amp. But it has got an output, so you could sort of route it to other things. You could do things like that, but there's no loop. The other thing that isn't too good is that if you get one and it does go wrong on the attenuator in particular, you could have a bit of a problem fixing it if you couldn't find an attenuator. What else? No warranty. It's old, but don't make a mistake that old means rubbish or isn't any good or this or this or this. People are like that. So a score out of 10, even without its warranty, even without, well, without any support whatsoever, it's easily worth an 8, easily. And at this price, I could push it to a 9. Yeah, worth every penny that you'll pay. As for the others, the bivalve or the Flexi 50, well, they usually ask more money, and I don't really care. This one sounds good enough for me. There's one last thing I want to talk about the THD design. Andy Marshall, it appears, went off to Jet City Amplification, which is a Chinese company. Soldana involved somehow, somewhere as well. But they went off to the Chinese Jet City and made something that looks very similar to this on the outside. It has printed across here rather than all this engraving and the rest. That must have cost a fortune in the day. And things like that. But on the outside you could tell from the Picovalve that it looks, you know, its design has come from this amp, and they've intended it to be that it looks the same. The only problem is It isn't the same. It's a different circuit inside. It's not the Univalve. It's cheap if you can find one. There don't seem to be many of them around, and I can probably guess why, really. It's an okay amp, but it's not one of these. So for the difference in price, I'd always buy one of these. I just wanted to cover that about this Picovalve. If you see one out there and you say, oh my god, it's a THD. Well, not quite. Well, the playing's coming up anytime soon, that away, and yeah, I've covered most everything I can except the playing, and that's going to happen, as I said, soon. Don't forget to visit my website. I always do this because it's better doing this than faffing around the other way. www.TonyMckenzie.com, yeah, or my YouTube channel. There it is, yeah, somewhere there. Because there's lots more. Hundreds of videos on the YouTube channel, and there's probably hundreds of reviews on my website. I've never actually counted them all. Too many, and I'll be doing some more presently over Christmas, which is the first chance I've got actually getting near it. So there'll be some more getting on there. Maybe this one. I'll put this in writing too. Should be useful. Just before the guitar playing, I've got the Gravity Waves CD I always want to mention on here because yeah, it took me a long time to do that with Alan Bruce, and why not? Why shouldn't I? It's my channel. So there it is. You can visit www.gravitywavecd.com if you want to see more about that and the other albums that I've done over the years. I've got more that isn't on there, but don't worry about that. You can have a listen on CD Baby or iTunes or any of them other places. Well, there is a video that I made where I reviewed each track and the ideas that were behind it, and that's sort of there if you want to go and have a look. I might even put a link up there for you to go and have a look. Anyway, I hope this inside and outside review's been good of the hardware, and I hope you like the tones that come from it on the actual playing that's out there. Yeah, it should be all very nice, and maybe make you have another look at this amp in a way that maybe you didn't look at it before. Oh, it's who wants one of them type of things. You couldn't be more wrong. These were great amps in the day, and there is nothing out there that does what this does today. So why on earth they faded at the time? They'd been around for a long time, you know. Great amp. Anyway, here's the playing. Thanks for watching. Always appreciated, guys. And let me know if anybody's got any of these, what you think. It always helps other guys. Till next time. I'm back, but I didn't go anywhere. But don't worry about that. Well, as you might have guessed, we've got the THD Univalve here for demo under clean, crunch, distortion, change of valves from a KT66, which it currently is. I'll be switching it to, let me get the cheat sheet. Oh, that's better. Yeah, I'll be switching it to EL34s and then on to EL84s. That should be all interesting. And then after that, I'm just going to show you this driven with a Tube Screamer and a Secret Freak, yeah? And then an SL drive pedal, and lastly, Seymour Duncan booster. Yeah, it should all be exciting. Hold on. Oh, by the way, I'm using Fender Elite Strat with noiseless pickups, and I wanted to do that purposely, you know, so you got a good idea of where it was all at. Everything's been recorded, by the way, through an AKG mic into a desk that you can see it there, and then into the camera. Yeah, it should all be good. I guess as I play, you'll hear it, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to faff around a bit on each channel. Well, on each amount of drive, let's rephrase that. Okay, with an amp like the THD Univalve, a lot of guys want to use this amp for that sort of jangly sort of bell-like sound that you could get out of it. I haven't got a 6V6 to put in this. I've only got an EL34, so it's never going to be quite what it should be. But in the clean tones, you can hear that it is pretty clean. I mean, it's just about as clean as you get, really. It doesn't get much cleaner than that, does it, really? So I just thought I'd cover some of that. Okay, well, what we're going to do now is we've moved across to actually the hot plate on a bit. We got this about 12 o'clock. All the rest of the knobs are exactly where they were. Haven't done anything else. You'll see the light glow when you play. And apart from that, yeah, it's all crunch. So let's see what it sounds like. And now I'm going to crank it up all the way and just control the volume by the other bit. Yeah, the hot plate. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, well what I'm going to do now is to whip out that KT66 in there and fit in an EL34, and just hold on a moment while I do it. I'm back. Well, I'm back from changing the KT66 into an EL34 Svetlana Wing C. All sounds good, or it should do. Now you should hear a difference. Let's hope you do. Because if you don't, it's a bit of a waste of time changing tubes, right? I think we'll hear a difference when we get to the EL84 a bit later on. But let's just whiz through this now and see how it sounds. And I'll do basically the same sort of things. Any old thing, as long as we get the sound. Now we got a bit of hum there, but yeah, it's a lot louder and it's a lot more cutting, if you notice that. well, here's the more sort of distorted sounds in the sort of crunch area. Yeah, it's all good. This is at 12 o'clock now, and I've got the hot plate exactly where it was before. Yeah, why not? Now lastly, all I'm going to do is just turn up this this gain to flat out for the sort of more lead sound out of these EL34s. So that's the chunk on EL34s, and what we're going to do now is to switch across to EL84, so you should hear quite a difference on that. Now you will notice that we're using this EL84, I'll just weather that across a bit, you can see it there. It's just well hidden behind the mic. But it's one of those THD yellow jackets, but they sold these off to somebody else to make them. Yeah, they're around, but very clever. And don't forget, you have to set the low volts on the front of this thing to make the EL84 work. So let's take a listen. I am set up again now in the clean mode. This at 9 o'clock. This plate turned out, and everything else just as it was before. So it should be a good example. See if you can hear any difference. You'll notice really that it's very brash. I mean, it's even more brash than the EL34 was. It sort of turns the bass pickup, or the neck pickup, into what the bridge usually is. You can see that. We can adjust everything down here, but the fact is, really putting that EL84 in there has really transformed the amp into being something completely different. Remember, this is supposed to be clean. Really makes the bridge come alive. So let's move on to the crunch. Okay, well, I've got to set the thing up slightly different, and what I did is take this this hot plate over here to about 2 o'clock. I've moved this attitude over to right to the left, and I've moved the basic gain up to 12 o'clock. And then you don't get a bad sort of crunch. Yeah. Here we are then on the flat out bit. I've still got this hot plate at about 2 o'clock, and I'm going to turn this up to about 12, and that's flat out on the input. Apart from that, it's as it was really. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, well that's actually come to the end of the section really, and what I'm going to do is put in I'll probably put the EL34 in, and then we'll try the pedals out one at a time. It's one of the reasons that this amp's so versatile, because you can change all these tubes. You can even change the preamp tubes if you want less distortion. Me personally, I don't, but I don't know. This EL84 sounds pretty cool here. Bit toppy, but pretty cool. It's got some really nice tones in there. But with the pedal, everything will change. You know, you can drive with these other pedals we're going to do the demo of. You can change this amp dramatically. Indeed, it'll be the same when we get to the Palmer Drei, or yeah, Drei, maybe called that. That's got 3 separate tubes in it, and we can sort of mix them and all sorts of things. And we'll be using the same pedals on that amp as we will on this amp. And I'll set it to, well, moderate, and then we'll drive the amp. Yeah, it all sounds good. Hold on. Okay, well now we have the tube screamer, and I've got the rest of it set up here. So what you hear really is the tube screamer. I've got this hot plate set at 10 o'clock and all the rest of it. And yeah, it's not bad. Okay, well I've got the secret freak here, and that's set up about 12 o'clock on the freak, 2 o'clock on the distortion, 10 o'clock on the volume, and the rest of it's pretty much as it was on the other TS-808. So let's have a listen. Well, here we go. This is the exotic SL drive from the USA, and really great pedal. It's supposed to be a super lead, and I changed nothing on the Univalve, but just plugged this in, and settings up here up on the screen somewhere with a bit of luck. But it does sound sort of plexy, yeah, really driven plexy, of course, the way this is set up. So let's have a listen to that. Well, that previous pedal was the exotic SL drive pedal, and really great pedal. Now I've got this pickup booster from Seymour Duncan, and it's long discontinued,
But the fact is that it can give you 25 dB a gain, and you've got a couple of settings for pickup resonance and things like that. I've got it set to number 1, and I've got it on about 20 dB gain. So all it gives you is gain on the input there. Nothing more, nothing less. So anything you hear is really purely the amp just driven harder. Well, I'm back. And as far as Class A amps go, I mean, they've got such a wide variance of tone, and when you get on some of those clean tones, they're sort of very bell-like, you know. But I like to drive them, and I think that's where you get these differences, and that, to me, with this SL drive on here, I mean, it's just like a plexi. Well, it is in here. It might not be in the camera. Remember that. This is my favourite. This was my favourite, really. Yeah. On the drive pedals. The SL drive by Exotic. Yeah. I bought it off Martin, if anybody knows him. But there you go. Well, there's another video coming up. And the another video is all about the Palmer Drei, or Drei. Yeah, Drei, or Drei. That's what I think it is. And it's down there. But I've got a mate coming in to play that. And then what we're going to do after that, it's all going to be fun. Video 3, by the way. Video 2 is the review of that. Video 3 is 1 or 2 other things we're going to do. And yeah, it's all going to be good. We shall see, won't we? So, yeah, till next time. That's it. Watch for video 2 with the Palmer on, because that's got other things in it that this amp can't do. In fact, I don't think many others can do. That's definitely worth watching. And the video 3 will be covering a few other things, different amps and different stuff like that. We'll be comparing the two as a shootout. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. So, here we go. Yeah. I just thought I'd put it to a bit of music, you know, and see what it sounded like with the SL. Yeah. What more can you ask for? snow.